Wicker Man is the wooden roller coaster at Alton Towers. The UK has quite a few wood coasters, but this is the only one to open over the past 3 decades. When it was commissioned, this may have been the most important of the park's secret weapon projects. I will explain why in this review. Alton Towers is one of the top theme parks in England. They are renowned for their historic castle, beautiful gardens, and adrenaline-pumping roller coasters. The latter is particularly impressive because the park cannot build above the tree line, so they've had to get creative with their coasters, utilizing pits, tunnels, and theming. Ever since the 1990s, Alton Towers has often codenamed their new roller coasters as secret weapons. These are unique coasters often paired with exciting thematic elements. Secret Weapon 1 and 2 were arrow pipeline coasters that never materialized. Secret Weapon 3 was the first to open. This was a legendary Nemesis in 1994. This was Europe's first inverted coaster. Around this time, John Wardley designed a racing wood coaster for Alton Towers. This would have been placed at the edge of Forbidden Valley, heading down the valley towards the gardens. This was rejected for noise and environmental reasons, but Wardley was still able to design a racing wood coaster in the end, albeit for a different park. This ended up being Stampede at Portaventura in Spain. While this ride was built on a relatively flat plot of ground, it still incorporated some of the elements and aspects that Wardley envisioned for Alton Towers. Secret Weapon 4 was Oblivion in 1998. This was the world's first dive coaster, with a signature near vertical drop into an underground pit. Secret Weapon 5 was the coaster now known as Galactica. It opened in 2002 as Air. This originally was Europe's only flying coaster. After some large steel coasters, Alton Towers was ready to try building a wood coaster yet again. In early 2003, Alton Towers shared plans for a record-breaking wood coaster. The station would have been where 13's is today. The layout would have then been a massive out-and-back coaster, crossing through the woodlands behind the gardens towards Forbidden Valley. This coaster would have been impressive not just for its sheer size, but also for the elevation change. The gardens are in a nearly 200-foot or 60-meter deep valley between Dark Forest and Forbidden Valley. This would have allowed the coaster to feature not one, but 2 hypersized drops. Given the amount of detail available on this coaster, it was much closer to happening than the wood coaster in the 1990s. Detailed drawings were prepared, and land surveying had been done. Given the train and track details, this likely would have been a prefabricated wood coaster from Intamin. This coaster could have been the park's best attraction had it been constructed. It would have been unlike any other wood coaster on the planet. Unfortunately, this ride was rejected for a few issues. 1. There were concerns about the environmental impact removing 100+ trees to accommodate the coaster. 2. There were concerns about the ride's height, as the lift hills, yes, this ride would have had multiple lift hills, went right up to the tree line. 3. And most impactfully, there were concerns about noise pollution. This has been an issue that Alton Towers has battled for years. Residents were particularly concerned with a wood coaster, especially since it would be on the edge of the property, and it also would have been in an area behind the gardens that had never featured a coaster, so there was not a historical precedent to look at. The Secret Weapon program was then put on hold for a few years due to an ownership change. The Tussauds Group ultimately sold the park to Merlin, who operates the park today. The Secret Weapon program then resumed in 2010 with Secret Weapon 6, which would be 13. While this ride station was where the Cross Valley wood coasters would have been, its layout stayed atop the hill within Dark Forest. The park realized opposition was too fierce to cross the valley like they once dreamed to do. Even with the ride's reduced footprint, 13 still featured many complaints from locals about noise pollution, which is why it features a quiet booster tire lift hill over a traditional chain lift, among other mitigations in place. Secret Weapon 7 opened in 2013. This was the Smiler, a Gerstlauer creation that had the most inversions of any roller coaster with 14. This particular ride was super popular, but it was the scene of a horrific accident in 2015. In short, 2 trains collided due to human error. This injured 16 riders, and 2 passengers needed leg amputations. This accident was the primary reason that Alton Towers lost 25% of its attendance between 2014 and 2017. That's exactly why Secret Weapon 8 was so critical. It needed to draw guests back to the park. It needed to be bold and flashy, so the park revived plans for a wood coaster once again, determined to finally get approval. In early 2015, Alton Towers presented a plan for a wood coaster in Forbidden Valley over near Nemesis, but there again was opposition to a major coaster going in this section of the park. In early 2016, the park removed the log flume. This ride was popular, but presented a major opportunity for Alton Towers. This water ride was located in Mutiny Bay, which is a more centralized location in the park. All the other wood coaster iterations would have been towards the perimeter of the property, meaning noise would have been closer to locals. This change allowed the park to get permission to finally build a wood coaster. This led to the opening of Wicker Man in 2018, the first wood coaster to open in the UK in over 20 years. The ride would be built by Great Coasters International, or GCI. This is one of the great modern manufacturers of wood coasters. They are particularly renowned for their twister layouts. The flume's plot cannot accommodate a giant out-and-back coaster like they once planned. Rather, it could feature a compact, convoluted twister. Coaster enthusiasts were hopeful this ride would break some sort of record or feature a world's first element. It did not. This ends up being one of GCI's shorter coasters, as it stood just 72 feet or 22 meters tall. For reference, this is the same height as rides like Joris and the Drock at Efteling, or White Lightning at Fun Spot Orlando, and it is actually a few feet smaller than Invader at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. The layout was designed to be a fast-paced one though. The main gimmick was making the ride into a thematic spectacle. At the center of the layout is Big Bob, a 58-foot or 18-meter tall wooden statue. The ride weaves around and through this structure. Not only that, Big Bob emits smoke and even lights on fire. It looks very wrong to see fire effects by a wood coaster, but it is so captivating to see. This was a feature designed to go viral, capture everyone's attention, and draw guests back to the park. And it worked. Wicker Man succeeded in its goal. The park's attendance in Wicker Man's inaugural season nearly matched 2014, the final season before the Smiler accident. That was no small feat given the poor publicity that Alton Towers had received the prior few seasons. Wicker Man has been arguably the park's most popular attraction ever since opening. It is popular with thrill seekers, and it's more approachable than their larger steel coasters both in terms of the minimum height requirement and intensity, so it gets families as well. So this ride routinely sports hour-plus waits. If you visit on weekends or school holidays, it frequently hits or exceeds 90 minutes. This queue snakes around the attraction, offering some great views of the ride at least, but it can take a very long time. This ride does have a high throughput for a wood coaster at least. While there is no mid-course brake run, it is designed to run with 3 trains, similar to how Wodan at Europa Park is set up. And on busy days, all 3 trains will be in use. On quieter days, you may only see 2 on the track. The trains have 12 rows of 2, so they seat a max of 24 riders. That's pretty typical for a GCI. What can you do to avoid the worst waits? The best approach is to visit on an off-peak weekday. It may still have the longest wait in the park, but it will probably be closer to a half hour in length, which is a lot more palatable. If you want to ride this coaster early, you need to head there immediately after you're admitted into the park. Alton Towers frequently lets guests into the park 1 hour before official opening time. The rides do not open until official park opening time, but you can start queuing up. Many people choose to do this with Wicker Man. Once the official park opening time rolls around, it'll already sport a lengthy wait. So if you wait during the bonus time in the morning, you don't waste park time. In a similar vein, this is a good ride to hop in line for right before park close. Alton Towers keeps most queues open until the official park closing time. You may still have a sizable wait, especially on days when the park is open late. This ride is extremely popular at night, and for good reason. It is so atmospheric with the fire and fog effects in the dark. It is also worth pointing out that while half the coasters at Alton Towers have single rider lines, Wicker Man does not. The fastest way to board this ride almost always is fast track, the park's paid skip the line pass. You avoid the outdoor queue, but I hate the end of this ride's queue. Standby and fast track merge into this hallway. At the end of it, you have the doors leading to a pre-show. This gets very chaotic because people push themselves forwards to try and board faster. If you have any bags or loose articles, you need to drop them off at the baggage hold, off to the left. But it can be very difficult to get over there because everyone is packed in like sardines. This ultimately leads to the pre-show, which is very well done. It is ultra creepy and ominous. There, you are told the story of the Wicker Man. This mythical creature needs a sacrifice. Riders are told they'll be encased in wicker and burned alive. Merlin loves dark themes. This will feed the flame and allow the Wicker Man to rise again. This is told through a screen and a chilling face with projection-mapped flames all over it. Once this concludes, the doors open to the load platform. People then push and shove their way out of the pre-show to board faster. It reminds me of the behavior at a Disney park when people push their way out of Haunted Mansion, Tower of Terror, Guardians of the Galaxy, or any rides like it with a pre-show. You then have a single lane that runs parallel to the station. At the end of it, a grouper will assign you a row. Alton Towers typically loads this ride front to back. They very rarely will let you wait an extra cycle if the row you want is already occupied. This makes it very tough to get the front. Some groupers will allow you to request an open row, but it is not guaranteed. That is one of the biggest cons with Wicker Man. This coaster is way better on the ends of the train. The airtime really suffers in the middle rows. This is frequently the case with a lot of these smaller GCIs. I would ride this coaster more often if I could wait for the front or back, but it stinks waiting for that long for a ride that varies so significantly depending upon where you sit. So may the odds ever be in your favor getting your desired row. I have a slight preference for the back over the front, but again, just try to avoid those middle rows if you can. The ride uses Millennium Flyer trains like so many GCIs. This one has no seatbelts, which helps with the capacity as they can load it faster. Riders are simply secured by T-shaped lap bars. Staff members do tend to push them down hard. Then after the check is complete, I recommend holding on to the harness. Otherwise, it has a tendency to lower further during the coaster, which can eat into your airtime. Two other thematic touches I want to mention. One, the station is a cultish vibe with the dark walls and red lighting. Two, this ride has a chilling soundtrack. While it has very dark undertones, it really gets you amped up. Once dispatched, you have a gradual downhill descent past some banners. You then rumble through a tunnel filled with smoke. You have some more speed than you expect for a pre-lift, so you get some light laterals on the turns. When you emerge, you have the lift hill. This is oddly profiled with two distinctly different angles. The first part is steeper with a 24-degree angle. This allows the ride to gain enough height to clear a service road. It then levels off to 12 degrees for the remainder of the lift, so it never goes above the tree line. It is unique and funky, but it makes sense given the building restrictions. Once at the top, you head into yet another tunnel filled with smoke, which is a common theme with this ride. You spiral left, getting some okay laterals. When you emerge, you have a straight drop. It is not super tall, but you'll get some good floater in the back as the long train is pulled downwards. Next is a camelback, but I think it's a bit too big for its own good. You get very weak floater airtime in the front, but you unfortunately will not lift out of your seat anywhere else. The apex is enclosed in another foggy tunnel, presumably for noise purposes. This leads to an S-bend down the hill. This offers solid laterals. You are first pushed to the left, then you're pinned to the right for the low turn. This turn also pierces through the lower part of Big Bob. It is visually exciting between the grand structure and the tight clearance. This leads to a turnaround. You get a little floater in the front as it levels off. Then everyone gets okay laterals on the rightward turn. Next is a double down through Big Bob. This element can vary wildly. It can offer weak floater in the morning or on cooler days. But on warmer days, especially after the coaster has been running for a few hours, it can offer decent floater pops all throughout the train. And if you're in the back row, this second dip can offer an abrupt flagector pop. It is extra exciting since that pop occurs as you exit Big Bob, so it creates a scary head chopper. That second dip also curves to the right, which offers a sudden lateral jolt in the rear rows. You then have a twisted double up the hill. This offers weak to okay laterals, depending on the day and row. And if you're up front, you get a smidge of airtime atop the second hump. This is followed by a flat turn. This offers solid sustained laterals due to the lack of banking. The exit is a sizable straight drop down the hill. You want to be in the back for this. There, you get good floater airtime similar to the first drop. Next is a bunny hill. This is another element that can vary. It consistently offers okay floater in front, and you can get decent floater in the back at its peak. But on cooler days, you may get little to no airtime in the back half of the train. You then have an extended rightward turn through Big Bob. This has more banking than the prior turns, so the laterals are pretty minimal this time around, but the near miss is still exciting. This leads to a dip. This offers very weak floater on the ends of the train. You then curve left, getting one last dose of respectable laterals. You then hit the brakes, but the experience is not quite over yet. You head inside this tunnel with some final lighting effects, and smoke of course. You then return to the station, ending the 2,608 foot, or 795 meter long coaster. That is on the shorter side for a GCI, but is a nice overall track length for a ride of this height. The duration is not an issue in my opinion. In terms of pacing, this ride moves at a good clip. It feels considerably faster than its 44 mile per hour or 70 km per hour top speed. That is because of the near misses and compact elements. Then in terms of smoothness, this ride tracks well. Even after nearly a decade of operation, it is still running smoothly. GCI's most recent wood coasters really seem to hold up well. What would I rate Wicker Man? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. This is a good wood coaster, especially on the ends of the train. Every row is visually exciting between the terrain use, tunnels, and near misses with Big Bob. You also get nice laterals wherever you sit. But to get notable airtime, you need to be on the ends of the train. This would be less of an issue if choice seating were available, but your row is often assigned. I have this towards the middle of the pack of the park's coasters. I prefer the ones that are more intense start to finish. But this ride definitely offers a complimentary experience to their other coasters, and it achieved its most critical goal of restoring the park's dwindling attendance after the Smiler accident. Locals ate this coaster up. I do have this in the lower half of GCI's coasters though. I prefer their rides that focus more on airtime, and the larger rides have an inherent advantage in that category. But Wicker Man performs better than usual in the lateral department, if that's more your bread and butter, and of course the visuals are great. Those are my thoughts on Wicker Man at Alton Towers. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you agree this may have been the park's most important secret weapon? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.